Hi, and thank you for joining us. President Trump met with his top advisors in the Situation Room today to discuss a path forward on Iran. U.S. and Iranian negotiators have been working on a potential agreement to extend the current ceasefire and give themselves some time to work out some of the more complicated issues, namely the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium. Throughout these negotiations, President Trump has said his main focus is to deny Iran access to a nuclear weapon, even if it means gas prices will rise or Republicans will have a tougher time in November's midterms.
Having a conflict just in front of the midterm elections at a time like this isn't ideal.
So if you wanted to play that game, then you would wait till the midterms are over, and then the following hour, you'll attack Iran because they cannot have a nuclear weapon. Most people agree with me on that. But then it gets maybe carried into, the next election, whether it's a midterm or not. So you have a very short window.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us now from the White House. Where do these negotiations stand?
Hi, Lindsay. Well, we don't have an update from President Trump following this situation meeting earlier today, where he said in a social media post that he would be making a final determination, really, on what happens next. And in the same post, he laid out his terms for a deal with Iran, saying Iran must agree to never have a nuclear weapon. The Strait of Hormuz must be immediately reopened without restrictions. And he also talked about the enriched uranium in Iran, saying that it will be unearthed by the United States in coordination with Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency and destroyed. And he also noted that no money will be exchanged until further notice, potentially referencing Iran's desire for assets to be unfrozen or sanctions lifted. Now, an Iranian foreign ministry spokesperson really kind of threw cold water this afternoon on the notion that progress was being made, because this spokesperson said that at this stage, Iran is focused on ending the war, that there are no nuclear negotiations. And the spokesperson also said that management of the Strait of Hormuz should be decided by Iran and Oman. So really downplaying any movement on the administration's top priorities here.
This week, we've seen the U.S. fire at Iran, Iran fire at Kuwait, but the administration says the ceasefire is holding. How do they square those?
Yeah, the Pentagon has called these defensive strikes. We know that there were two cases this week of when Central Command, U.S. CENTCOM, said that it had to take defensive strikes against Iranian targets following aggression. And in a statement, they said that they will continue to be vigilant but measured in defending forces against Iranian aggression. The vice president, speaking to reporters yesterday, also kind of tried to downplay this, saying that ceasefires can be messy, that there can be flare-ups, but he still believes this larger ceasefire is holding. However, Lindsay, as you know, the White House has been clear that the president has other options if these talks do not progress. And we know that the U.S. troops in the region, that elevated force posture, remains on standby.
All right, there have also been some developments this afternoon and evening regarding the Kennedy Center. Remember, the president renamed it after him and President Kennedy, installed loyalists to the board, closed it for renovations. What are we learning?
Well, a judge earlier today ruled that the president could not make these changes unilaterally. This follows a lawsuit filed by a Democratic Congress member challenging the decision to put the president's name on the Kennedy Center and also close the Kennedy Center during renovations. The president, in a new social media post a short time ago, slammed this decision, but then goes on to say that based on the fact that Democrats, he says, care more about opposing the president than saving the dying Performance Arts Center, he's going to work with Congress to transfer what he calls a failing institution back to them so they can make a determination as to what to do with it. We know by law, Lindsay, that Congress already has oversight over the Kennedy Center, even though the president, the executive branch, can appoint the trustees on the board.
Okay, Natalie Brand, thank you.